Today's game is between Shin Jinseo and Yifei. Shin Jinseo versus Yifei. Yo, on a Saturday after my cafe, met this gal at the karaoke. On the surface she looks like a babe, but deep down inside she ain't okay. When she speaks she likes to take sente, and she broke up with me because I play Sanrensei. What is wrong with the girls nowadays? Getting big Moyo is just my way. Shin Jinseo versus Yifei. When the Spider-Man fights Pai Mei. Shin Jinseo versus Yifei. We will send the loser to Uruguay. Shin Jinseo versus Yifei. Oh, Shin Jinseo versus Yifei. Hey. So Yifei is playing as black in this game. Shin Jinseo playing as white. This game is played on Fox. So they had a Fox tournament where each player sit in front of a computer. And of course, no AI is allowed. There's supervision. So this is the semi-final of the tournament. And this is the last game. For the first two games, it was 1-1. Yifei approaches the corner, white kicks, extend, jump, and we play a very standard Joseki. Next up, we have Shin Jinseo goes into the corner, black blocks, white extends, black extends once again. Normally, you would see player playing the small knight, but Shin Jinseo did not want this variation because the small knight over here is over-concentrating with the jump over here. So when I say over-concentrating means that usually you don't want your two very low and solid stone to face each other because there's nothing to build over here. It makes your structure very inefficient. Therefore, because of the particular situation, we have to choose our Joseki accordingly. In the actual game, instead of playing the small knight, Shin Jinseo played a push. Yifei keeps extending, hoping Shin Jinseo would play the small knight, but of course that's not Shin Jinseo's idea, and he extends once again. And Yifei, instead of extending, this would be a little bit slow because at this point, we all know that Shin Jinseo can tenuki here because the corner is very strong. And therefore, Shin Jinseo can either split or play a more solid split or start approaching the corner over here. So in the actual game, Yifei and Shin Jinseo understood the same thing, right? So they decided to not play locally. This is a very great understanding of the game, right? Instead of finishing a Joseki, because our surrounding, our environment has changed, we have to choose accordingly. As you can see, Fuseki is really about to connect the Josekis, and they really have a very tight relationship with each other. Next up, Yifei plays the connecting move, and now Yifei has a very, very nice connecting Moyo. Shin Jinseo takes the Hane point, which is absolutely huge. Yifei Hanes and white extends. After this sente exchange for black, black decides to approach the start point on the bottom left. White kicks, black extends, and white plays the jump. Instead of playing the extension over here, which is very playable, Yifei was obviously worried about Shin Jinseo taking the corner like this. And now as we can see, this is a very strong, not a very strong corner, but this corner could become territory if white gets one more move. And this is quite a lot of territory. And therefore, instead of playing the 3-space extension, which is very playable, I think, because it connects all the Moyo, Yifei decided to take the territory. Shin Jinseo pincers, since you didn't take that point, I'll take that point away from you. And Yifei plays the counter attack. Shin Jinseo approaches, black kicks, white plays the Hane here. Here, our intuition would tell us to play the Hane. This, of course, is an okay move, but this is not like a top professional move, right? This would, for us, would be, I can't really criticize anyone for playing the block. But what Yifei was worried about is if Shin plays the Atari, black connects, and now Shin has a very nice tesuji, that is to attach on the stone. Against this move, if black hanes on this side, white will hane on the other side, and this is not so easy for black to deal with. If black hanes on this side, then white will just hane on the other side. And then after black Ataris, white extends, we can see that this is not so easy for black to deal with. Regardless how black plays, white will always have a good way to maneuver his stones. And then Shin can make use of these kind of dead stones to help the group over here. In the actual game, Yifei didn't want white to have all these maneuvers, and therefore he plays the tiger's mouth. White plays the double Hane, a very nice tesuji. Black cuts, white connects, and black blocks on the second line trying to kill the corner. White plays the 2-3, black blocks. Now here, if white plays to live the corner, which is what a lot of us would have done, this would be a bad choice. So it looks like white gained some territory and destroyed black's territory, but white has lost the momentum of the game because he was just trying to live a very small corner. Now at this point, the entire outside belongs to black, and this stone will be under attack. So this would be a leading game for black. So that's not what happened in the actual game. Shin understood the big picture, and therefore he plays on the outside, because right now the outside is very important. If this stone could be strengthened, that makes these two stones a lot weaker. And then because white has a cut over here, if black just tries to capture the corner, black will pay a price on the outside. Black Ataris, white extends, black pushes, and Shin now plays a, it looks like a tesuji, but actually, I'm not exactly sure what Shin was planning to do if black simply responds. So I didn't really understand this move, and I can't call it a tesuji, right? A tesuji is a move that works, and you see an obvious performance from the move. But this move, if you know what white's plan is after this, you can let me know in a comment. But I really couldn't understand what happens after this. So let's see what happened in the actual game. In the actual game, Yifei decided to Atari on top, white turns, black connects, and now white turns over here, dragging the stones out. Black now comes back and fixes the weakness, and white plays the Atari. Black extends, white blocks on top, and now black plays the Kosumi, a very beautiful move that fixes all the problems over here. White Hanes, black Ataris, and white Ataris, black takes. So at the end of the day, white was able to get two stones on the outside, trying to hurt the influence over here. But I think, as compensation, black was able to gain a very thick shape over here. White Hanes, black blocks, white Ataris, these are all Sente exchanges. And now white seals this group over here. This is a Sente because the next move, white is going to drag the three stones out and cause a liberty fight. So black will clamp first, forcing white to extend and then come back and kill the corner. Very well played by both players at this point. Maybe like very slight inaccuracies under the eyes of AI, but for human players, this is absolutely insane quality game till now. Next up, we have Shin jumping on top, trying to attack black two stones. And here, Yifei shows us his skills when it comes to invasion, right? We stick to our opponent and gain all these stones for free, and then we attach to our opponent, all following the principle of invasion. White Hanes, black extends, and now white pushes on top, trying to kill the two stones over here. Black turns, completely secure the group over here, and then Shin decided to extend on top, a very solid move. A better move according to AI is for white to jump here. This is basically looking for more efficiency. Of course, it leaves a little bit Aji behind, but for now, black cannot really run out because white has a netting move, and there's no way for black to break out from here. So we can see that this move is more efficient because AI is super efficient. Not only tries to destroy black's influence, but also making sure that these two stones are under control. But what Shin played in the game was also not bad. It's just not perfect under the eyes of AI. And now Yifei decided to invade the corner, which is a very intuitive move for human players. Here, maybe a better choice for black. So this, of course, is a giant move, but if Yifei would, take some time to try to understand the big picture even better, then what he would have chosen was to slide into the corner first. If white defends, then black will get this Kema move, which is a very important directional move, basically. So this move not only expands black, but also suppress white's influence. So it's a very important point for both players to fight for. In the actual game, Yifei decides to take out the corner. And of course, he's not just looking at the territory, he's also looking at attacking white's group over here. So I think for human players, this is a very understandable idea. Now, black plays the small knight, white turns, black pushes, and white captures the stone at 3-3. But later on, of course, there's a flip Atari at 2-2 to get rid of white's eye space. Yifei comes back and secures the two stones. If black plays something else, white can attach over here, and black's 2 stones will die along with the aji in the corner. So playing a move over here is absolutely huge. And white now plays the bump. This is a sente, forcing black to block. And here Shin comes back and take the very important move that that expands white and also suppresses black. So by getting this move, Shin is slightly ahead in this game because of how important this move when it comes to direction of play. Okay, but the game is still super close. At this point, Yifei comes back and secures the territory over here. White extends and black harness, and white plays the small knight. So instead of trying to directly run out, white plays very light. Right? If you want to capture the 2 stones, you can go ahead and do it. But black decided to not do it and play also very very directional. Like I wouldn't say it's directional, but it's like it's looking at the big picture, really not playing moves like these. So this would be what I'd say 99% of us would just cut over here, right? There's so much territory. But if black cuts over here, then white has a very nice follow-up. That is to play the invasion move. If black blocks, white extends. Black blocks once again, white extends back. This is looking at the weakness black has over here, and therefore black has to connect. And after that, white will cut in the center. Now, all of a sudden, we see a giant Moyo forming because of this move that white played earlier, but also because white gained so many stones over here. So black is in a very awkward situation where black has to come in and invade. When black comes in to invade, likely white will have a few stones over here, which will also put threat towards black's territory in here, right? This makes this invasion a lot more serious. So Go is really a global game. A lot of times we can't just look at the local profits. Rather, we have to think about what happens 10 moves or even 20 moves after. And because Shin Jinseo and Yifei are both, one of the top professional players in the world, and therefore they understand the big picture. Instead of be very nearsighted or very, focusing on the short term, just getting the profits, they look at the entire board as a whole. Okay, so instead of cutting, Yifei played very correctly by Kosumi. This is actually AI's recommendation as well. This shows you how strong Yifei is as a player. Okay, so if Yifei didn't take the territory, Shin is going to go ahead and take it. Now there's a fight breaking out. Black pushes, white blocks, black cuts. Looks like this is complete chaos. White plays the squeeze, preventing black from cutting. Black connects, white extends out, and black now pushes on top. So it looked like black could have done something like this, but when white turns out, once again, it's about the big picture that we're talking about. Yes, locally looks very good for black, but now what is black going to do about these stones over here? They are under attack. If they have to run towards this direction, means that white's territory all going to be solidified on top. So this would be a very terrible game moving forward for black. So big picture is really the main theme for this game, right? Both players understand that, therefore they don't take the temporary profits. In the actual game, we have white extends, black pushes on top, and white now finally comes back and connect. Black connects, and white plays the tiger's mouth, and now this group is very safe because of thanks to the tiger's mouth. Black extends out, and now white plays a tesuji to lift the group. Black kicks, white extends, and now as we can see, there's an eye over here and likely another eye around this area. So white is definitely alive here. Black peeps, white blocks, and this is a sente. And now black comes back and tries to invade the top. White plays the small knight. This is an inaccuracy from Shin. A better move is for white to turn. So it's a similar idea. We're trying to attack the stone. We're also trying to threaten the security of this group. But when it comes to specific move, the correct move is for white to turn because it leaves no weakness. When white plays the small knight, an obvious problem is this cutting point. In the actual game, Yifei decided to jump out, and he missed a very good opportunity to reach an equal position with Shin. The correct move is for black to push on top. White blocks, black cuts. If white Atari is on the bottom, black is going to extend, and this is not a great variation for white because these two stones are very weak. So trying to fight over here is not a good fight. So the correct move is for white to Atari. Black extends, white jumps to protect the two stones. The block is a sente, forcing white to connect. And here black can jump on the third line. So this would be a very good fight for black because if white pushes, black will block. White connects, black connects on top, and that's very important. If white cuts, black Ataris, all these are forced, and black comes back, forms a very beautiful tiger's mouth, and now white's corner is significantly weakened. So white needs to probably play a move in the corner, and now as we can see, black gained a lot of influence on top, and this is a great position for black. So white cannot really play like this. Another variation is for white to push over here. Black will play the tiger's mouth, and for the exact same reason, white cannot let black block on top, and therefore white has to turn. After this, black can drag the stones back and form a ko, and this is a very chaotic position, right? They're gonna fight a ko, and if black wins the ko, means that these stones are very weak. So this would be a very good opportunity for Dang Yifei to drag this game into chaos. In the actual game, Dang Yifei jumps out. That's a miss of opportunity. And Shin comes back to connect the stone over here. This is a very important move because we said previously, black as a flip Atari over here, right? This is a very common strategy to get rid of white's eye space. So very important for Shin to look out for his weakness. And here, Dang Yifei also has to look out for his weakness because this group is not completely alive. As we can see, the shape is very weak. And therefore, Dang Yifei in the actual game jumps out into the center. Shin attaches on top, trying to enclose all the territory, and here Dang Yifei extends. A better move is for Dang Yifei to play the Hane here, a slightly better variation. This is also a very chaotic fight. Shin will cut, that's 100%. Black Ataris, white extends, black Ataris once again is all forced. Black now connects. White cuts, black connects on top. And here, if white fix the shape and try to kill the stones, then black can extend on top, threatening the three stones over here. When white jumps, black has a kick. That's the shape move. Whenever you see a shape like this, usually the shape move is this Kosumi here. This forces white to extend. If you play this, this would be a blunder because white is pretty much dead inside, right? This is a snapback, very common shape. So this forces white to simply connect. Black Hane's on top, and white comes back to kill black. This is 4 liberties versus 3 because white has a beautiful tesuji here to capture black. Black turns, white will just block on top. So no matter what black plays, black will only have 2 liberties. So this is white kills black, but the problem is black was able to strengthen the outside. And now this group never has to worry about anything, and black has a lot of potential in the center. So this would still be an equal position for both sides. And of course, if white jumps out like this, the idea is that white plays a move first, and therefore this group will not be squeezed anymore. Problem with that is black will now live the side. Black plays the Kema, forcing white to kick, and black now threatens the snapback. White connects, black plays another small knight, and this is a life shape for black. So black was able to live inside white's territory, so that's huge profit for black. And here, white seems to have a few stones in the center, but it's not so easy to kill black over here. So the result of this is that this would be a slightly better position for black. So as we have seen, if black decided to go for this variation, then black can at least reach equal position. In the actual game, Dang Yifei has calculated a different fight. He extends on top, but according to AI, it's slightly worse. So here, Dang Yifei pushed onto the third line. Here, of course, Shin cannot connect here, even if you know the shape is very weak, because when black connects, this becomes way too strong. Now, black is threatening to jump out over here and get like 20-point plus territory. So white has to push over here like what he did in the game. Black push, white blocks, and black cuts on the third line. Shin decides to connect on top. This is extremely aggressive. Another possibility is for white to bump into black, threatening to capture the stones over here. Black Ataris, white will capture the stone, and black also capture the stone. So this would be an acceptable position for both sides because white was able to secure the entire top. So this the game could have played out like this. And what's good for white is white doesn't really have to spend an extra move to fix because these it doesn't really work here for black, right? If black plays if white plays let's say something else, and then black Ataris and then Atari, there's nothing here basically, right? As we can see, probably a little bit of liberty issues with the two white stones on top, but not really anything substantial. So that's one variation, but Shin did not like that variation, and in the actual game he decided to connect on top. A very good move by Shin. It's very aggressive. The idea is threatening the dragon over here. Black doesn't really have two eyes here. Black Ataris, white extends, and here Dang Yifei played a losing move of the game. So what Dang Yifei should have played here is pretty much impossible for humans, because the correct move is so first of all, the correct idea is for black to Atari like on this direction. But before that, black needs to play an exchange, forcing white to block over here. And then black plays the Atari. So let's look at the variations that, because this is a very critical moment of the game. And therefore, I want to spend a bit more time talking about all the liberty fight or the life and death in here. Black Ataris, white turns, and black has a tesuji, that is to Atari on the second line. If white captures black Ataris and then plays a tiger's mouth, this is a sente, forcing white to go back. And when black connects on top, we can see that the corner is under a lot of pressure. And also the shape is terrible, right? When white has to connect over here. So Shin cannot accept that, and therefore white has to turn. Black connects on the second line, and here white has to Atari here, or else there's a ladder. So white Ataris, black Ataris on the second line, white connects, black now capture the stones over here. So does that mean this is game over for white because it looks so disastrous? But it turns out it's really far from over. White Ataris on top, black captures, white throws in, and now black exchange a move over here, forcing white to connect. And here black plays the tiger's mouth and white plays the second. So there are many branch variations over here. White does not really want to play here because after this is a sente, and now black can cut over here. And therefore, your first intuition would be like, well, let's just connect back and be safe. Problem with that is black can extend on the first line. This white has to be extra careful. You play anything else, black can come into the site, and this would kill white. There's no ko here. This is just a clean kill by white, and white resigns. Because white has to block over here, and black can turn. And I'll leave you to verify that white just does not have two eyes, and it's a very clean death. Therefore, against this move, white has to extend to live. But then here, black can pretty much just turn to live the group on the side, because right now there's a miai. So first of all, the side is alive, right? So if white wants to get the compensation for all the loss on the side, he has to kill black over here. And the only way for him to kill is to seal black in. But black can play the hane, and this would leave the corner like this. If white peeps here, black will connect. And if white breaks the eye, black can simply block over here. And there's no way for white to kill black. This is a clean alive for black. So basically at this point, if white tries to break the eye, well, black can jump out. So we have a miai. Black's dragon is fine, but what's going to compensate for white's loss over here? We're not sure. So this is not a great position for white. But at this point, white has a more resilient variation, that is to play this weird looking move. This is really hard to find for white player. Black extends, white for the exact same reason has to extend on the second line to live. After the exchange, black can cut white, White honeys, black honeys, and white extends. Black has a tesuji to make sure that white is not alive. White blocks, black peeps in. White connects, black now Ataris. And locally, this is dead for white. Black captures, this is threatening to come out. And of course, white has to prevent that. And at this point, black can squeeze here. And this would form a ko in the corner. So the game is in complete chaos at this point. Both this group and this dragon is in trouble. And therefore, black has to do whatever it takes to capture the corner over here. So once black captures the corner, black gained a lot of extra territory, but of course, white would be able to gain compensation on the outside because of the ko. So this would be absolutely chaotic game, and this would be more or less an equal position. So in the actual game, of course, it's a little bit too much to ask Dang Yifei to be able to read out all the variations, especially after black attaching over here, then Atari with a driving tesuji, and then read everything in the corner over here. That's just too much. Dang Yifei in the actual game played a very human move, right? Like just Atari here, looking at the Miai, blocking over here, and also capturing the 2 stones. The problem is that Shin is looking at somewhere else. Shin is looking at this dragon over here, right? It's not alive, and it's actually looking pretty risky for black. In the actual game, Shin plays the cut over here. It looks like a suicide, but actually this is the move 126. This is one of the best tesujis that I have seen this year. Okay, and this shows you why Shin is the #1 player in the world, and he is leading. He is basically leading the #2 in the world by quite a margin. And this move shows you how strong he is. So why is it so strong? We will look at the game and then we'll come back and talk about why Shin played this move. Of course, this is a sente, right? Therefore, black needs to capture the 3 stones, making sure this corner is just dead. Next up, we have Shin jump into the center, trying to kill Dang Yifei over here, because Shin already lost a bunch of profits over here. Therefore, Shin's only hope is to kill the dragon. Black honeys, black honeys, and white extends. All these are forced. And now black turns on top, trying to live. White plays this second line tiger's mouth. This is because he didn't want the black extension on the first line to be a sente. Here, locally, black does not have 2 eyes, of course. If you try to make an eye over here, then of course this is not an eye anymore. White will just simply squeeze, and we see that black only has 1 eye. And of course, if black plays something like this, white can also block over here. If you live like this is no longer a sente towards my group, and therefore I can just kill the other eye. So we see that black only has 1 eye here, so it looks like black is dead. Black's only hope is to break the formation that white has over here. In the actual game, Dang Yifei pushes, white blocks, black Ataris, and white turns. And all these are forced, right? After these exchanges, black Ataris and white connects. And at this point, Dang Yifei resigned in the game. So let's first look at why Dang Yifei resigned. It's because after Dang Yifei plays the Atari, white connects. First of all, we see there's absolutely no problem with the group over here, right? So black's only hope is to try to kill the group over here. And the only move for him to do that is to push and break the eye here. But then Shin can just play the bump into black. Black has to break the second eye, and white push right now, forcing black to Atari. White Ataris, black connects, white throws in, black captures, and all of a sudden black cannot connect over here. This is a connect and a die situation. And that's why Dang Yifei resigned, because this whole dragon got killed. And now let's use a time machine, and let's assume that Shin did not play the cut, exchanging with black's Atari over here. What would happen? If Shin goes ahead and play the jump, and we play the exact same moves as they played in the actual game, and they're pretty much all forced. Black pushes, white blocks, and after this driving Ataris, black Ataris, white connects, black Ataris, this is forced, and black now pushes to break white's eye. When white plays the bump, all of a sudden black can push over here, and white cannot keep going. If you keep going, I can Atari, and this is game over for white. But because in the actual game, Shin made this exchange, this is making it's impossible for black to basically push into here. So Shin has to read out this entire sequence and understand that he has to play the exchange first. And probably Shin read it out way before that, because if Shin did not read out everything over here, and then Shin just lost a bunch of profit, this is a lot of loss for white over here, right? Either these two will be captured or these two will be captured. And if you can't get the compensation back by slaying the dragon here, then it's game over. So Shin, from a long time ago, has read out that you need to exchange. Let's go back a little bit. Shin read out from a long time ago that you need to play the exchange here in order to slay the dragon, right? Not to say that this move is pretty hard to read out, even if you reach this position, but Shin read it out way before. So absolutely, like when Dang Yifei lost this game, he probably thought that Shin absolutely deserved the win because it's so well played by Shin. So absolutely, like one of the best tesujis I have seen this year, not probably in the recent 5 years. Absolutely amazing calculation from Shin, and very epic game. This has been the game between Shin Jinseo and Dang Yifei.